One of the things that we ask here at the American Masterminds is kind of a question, and this is a difficult question to ask you because of you're not a typical organization that we've talked to. But the question is, if you go back and speak to your younger self, you could go back and give that person a little bit of advice. Now that you're at this mature experience in your place, what advice would you be giving that person?
My younger self?
Your younger self. Let's say it's that 26-year-old that just got adopted.
Be kinder to yourself. Be more forgiving. Have more grace.
Patience with yourself, grace.
Yeah, I think grace just isn't given enough, because even everything we've talked about, my morning routine and all the great plans and all the, whoa, she's so well put together. No, I mean, some days those just don't work out. All day long, every 52 minutes, probably not. It doesn't work that well all the time.
Yeah.
It works a lot, and I'm pretty good about it. But I don't think, oh my God, and I really didn't get to the gym 4 days this week, and I didn't. Like, I could have the whole list of all the things I didn't do. I just don't think that way. I think I'm super confident today. I did the very best that I can.
Yeah.
With how I felt, what I knew, what was thrown into my lap. I have to just drive home feeling like I have the most confidence. I did the very best I could today, and tomorrow I'll do the very best I can, and it'll look a little different than today.
I like that.
I just have to have a lot of grace with that, and I would have taught myself to do it sooner. I was climbing the corporate ladder. For me, I was very aggressive about it, and I was very competitive, and I was extremely hard on myself and my teams and the people around me that I worked this hard, you worked this hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a pretty intense mentality about it. And I was like, I don't think this is going to sustain me through my whole career if I want a team of love, if I want compassion. And I think it's because in the corporate world, you're almost trained, nobody says it out loud, but there's this training that the more emotional, especially as a female in a corporate male world, it's different in nonprofit, it's female dominated more, but in that environment, you're considered extremely weak to have those. Oh, she's not crying, is she? Oh, of course she has to go home to her kids. Like, there's just this, it's a tough environment that way. You're very competitive to find a seat at the table, metaphorically.
Right.
And literally. And so you're considered very weak, and I had to really push through, okay, you know what? This isn't going to work. I think I better start a women in leadership program in corporate, which is what I did. I think I need to help young women learn faster, what took me a really long time to learn, because I was dominated by this overachieving environment of like, more is better.
Yeah.
And it's not.
So on that front, if you were to give one piece of advice with all this background that you have in the corporate world, because it's two completely different
It is.
ideologies going on there, if you were to give one piece of advice to a young girl that is thinking about getting into business and whatnot, what would that advice be?
It would still be have more grace with yourself, but I think it would also be you deserve to be here. You deserve as much as anybody else in this room to sit here.
Yeah.
And the reason this happened is literally at this particular company I worked for, we had an extremely large boardroom. I mean, probably around the table with the all-male executive team of 12. There were probably 22 seats, right? Very large table. And then the whole parameter of the room was surrounded by chairs. And every time a meeting would start, and this was over the course of, I probably observed for about 6 months. I was there 10 years. And I was newer at the time. Men would come in, sit down at the table. It was no big deal, right? They start talking about golf or sports or whatever, tech, whatever was interesting to them. They seemed super confident. They were just like on it. Women would come in, they'd look around the room, they'd go sit to the side chair. All of a sudden you'd see them pull back. Nobody asked them to do that. They just did it. They just felt like they didn't have a seat at the table. So I watched it. I noted how many times it happened. Every single meeting, I just had like my conference side notebook, ha ha ha. And it was astounding. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't just about, whole other conversation, but this isn't just about men not letting them in. It was about them not letting themselves in. And I'm like, that really has to be addressed with women and the fact that they don't feel worthy to sit at that table with those men. It's not all their fault.
No.
There's things that they've contributed to that, but they're not helping themselves. And then in addition to that, you have right women that are feeling this way. So what happens? They're so competitive with each other. They're like bringing each other down,
Yeah.
and they're like, I'll override you to get that promotion any day. They're mean. They're very vicious. And I was like, this is a recipe for disaster. I can see this super clearly what's happening right now. And so
Right.
we launched I asked our CEO, who was phenomenal, if I could launch a women in leadership program and what that would look like to help them gain confidence and more visibility, to help them feel like, one, they had a right to sit there.
Right.
Like it had to start from them first. And then the other part of the program, of course, was how do we help our male leaders see them more? So it had to happen on both sides. But I would tell them, be kinder to yourself and know that you deserve to be sitting here.
Yeah.
Your skill is just as valuable because you have a different perspective
Yeah.
Right.
as well. Right?
Absolutely.
So
Well, as a dad of 4 daughters, I'm all about they are worthy. And fact, they are needed. It's more than just worthiness. There's a need for intelligent, powerful warrior goddesses in our world, and I'm all about that. So I love that message.